What's up, everybody? Mike here, and in this video I just want to do a simple beginner's guide for Path of Exile 2 because I know we got a lot of new players out there, a lot of casual players, stuff like that, not just like the veterans that have come from PoE 1 to PoE 2. And plus, this game is a bit complicated on quite a bit of stuff if you're not used to this style of game or RPGs, stuff like that. So yeah, and this is definitely different from PoE 1 as well, with some of the systems and mechanics, things like that, and how gems work. So if you're having like maybe a bit of a tough time in the early goings of the game and just trying to look for a little bit of guidance or a little bit of clarity on a few things here, well, this video is for you. First, I want to go over support gems. So I want to explain how these work. I've already kind of touched this before with a previous video, like lead into the game, but now we have hands-on with the game, actually can look at this and give you a better deep dive into it. Now, for some reason, at least on control anyway, I haven't tried mouse keyboard yet, and maybe someone in chat can let me know, but as far as I know, the only way to look at the support gem like lists, like skill tree, is actually engraving it. So, and basically you got it for your weapon here or different skills you can go into to look at. Not only that, you will also have a full list you can go over between strength, dexterity, intelligence as well. This is just a showcase, like as far as the unlocked skills I have, and essentially the recommended ones the game's going to tell me to make, basically. Over here, though, this is the full list of support gems for strength, for example, here. But if you go down, you'll see there's even more. It's just grayed out. So there are like level 2 and level 3 support gems. This is right now, you're only going to be available to level 1 support gems. So go through the list here, check them out. This is strength, for example. Like I said, this is dexterity. Bunch of dexterity ones. They may even add more in the future. They may not. I don't know. And intelligence gems. It's better to actually go over the like full list to see which ones you want to make. You're going to end up probably making quite a bit of these just for one character. Or if you decide on doing multiple characters, you're going to be making even way more than this. Now, right now I'm rocking a monk who mostly uses dexterity along with intelligence. So with what I'm using right now, I got Falling Thunder, for example. Lightning Infuse, you can go with this one. You can check the abilities, what it does there. It's very self-explanatory within the X button. You don't just have to just look at recommended. We can go back to recommended. But you can show all that way and helps out a lot. Now, something to keep in mind is you cannot use 2 copies of the same support gem. Support gems you can use are limited by your attributes as well, too. If you are a dexterity character, your dex, intelligence, things like that. You got to have a certain like amount into those to use certain stuff. So for example, right here, it says your character is already using this support gem, so I cannot make another Swift Affliction gem for Essence Drain. I can make a minion pact, but my monk is not trying to go into minions and use minions. This is mainly just to use Essence Drain for the chaos damage. So once you decide to go with whatever, support gem skill you want, you just click on the button here, A, if you're using controller, confirm. And it'll automatically slot it in over here to the skill you're using. For example, Frozen Locust is the one I'm using, so it's automatically slotted. When it comes to your attributes, you want to stick to 1 or 2 attributes at most. For example, Warrior is Strength. Warrior starts about right here, so you'll essentially go into like, armor or melee damage and focus on strength there. Monk, for example, is over here, and so has a mix of dexterity as well as intelligence as far as that he's contributing to. So you'll see like skills like this increase the dexterity here and intelligence. This one as well does as well. So you're going to be focused on dexterity and intelligence with monk, for example. So you got to stick to your attributes that are tailored to your character class. Next, I want to bring up the point of skill DPS. This is actually something you can check and see in real time in the game when you swap out a piece of gear or weapon, or you swap out a support skill gem. So let me show you right here. For example, let's just remove this. See how that went down to 148? Now let's put it back on. As you can see, for my quarterstaff strike, it goes back to 185. Very simple, easy to tell, keeps you up to date, and is awesome for doing that. This is important to keep an eye on as you progress through the game, so you choose the best gear, weapons, and support skill gems for your build. And while DPS is not the only factor when choosing gear, having a high enough DPS early on will help you get through the campaign faster because you'll kill enemies and bosses faster. Then there's farming. So farming in general is going to be key in PoE 2, whether you're trying to get better gear, weapons, or skill gems and support gems. You can farm bosses for this stuff, not just side bosses like in the world. Oh, I call them world bosses basically. They're just out in like the different zones, and you reset the zone and you can go find them and essentially fight them again. But also main story bosses too. Something to keep in mind if you're looking for the next tier of skill gems, for example, or even like uncut spirit gem or another kind of gem, you will need to level up your character for these to drop. So progressing through the game, doing main quests, side quests will grant you higher level skills and help you upgrade your current skills. You don't need to spend too much time farming unless you are stuck at lower levels though. But I'll say if you're looking for better gear and weapons too, not just skill gems or like sport gems or even uncut spirit gems, then farming bosses is very helpful to get these. Although I've been having some issues lately with farming bosses, because when I'm going into maps, I will tend to end up getting like the gems from the mobs I kill basically more so than the actual boss themselves. So I'm not sure if this is just my luck lately or the RNG, how it's working for me, or if the devs need to take a look at this and essentially adjust the RNG and how it works in the game. Regardless, though, you are going to need to farm at some point in this game, though, towards the end game or throughout while you're playing the campaign to some degree. I just feel like during the campaign, though, you don't need to farm too much overall unless you get stuck on a boss, feel like you need to get better gear or level up, things like that. Also want to mention, don't ignore side quests, as these will give extra rewards like XP, items that give you more passive skills so you don't always have to rely on getting a passive skill point through leveling, and more rewards beyond that from like different gear and weapons, things like that. So yeah, definitely want to do the side quests on top of the main story quests too. And as I recall, I believe this has a total of 122 passive skill points you can earn throughout the playthrough of the game. That is from leveling to 100, and then you get the last 22, I believe, from just doing side quests. Plus, the side quests are simple and easy to do while progressing through the campaign. When it comes to respecing your character, you're going to want to do a side quest going on top of, or back to what I was talking about before, of how important side quests are, to unlock a particular NPC you see right here called the Hidden One. And not only do you need to get him at your town once you unlock him, you'll need plenty of gold because you need to spend gold to respec by talking to him. So as you can see here, you'll go in to talk to him. It gives the option to refund passives. So you hit the correct button here. You can refund them. Now, the cost of how much they will be goes up as you level up or progress through the story and things like that. Obviously, right now, it's cost me 407 gold. I have plenty of gold. As you can see, I got 18,000 right now. So it's not a big deal right now. And doing this early game, honestly, is not a super big deal. I've already respect quite a bit multiple times, because I was going for something I was really trying to do where basically I was balancing it out with, offense and defense initially up to this point. And then I had to put into some attributes to get some more dexterity, mostly for certain gems and other gear and things like that. And then I was trying to figure out some stuff like testing out some certain passives for myself and see if I would have better survivability. But I ended up going mostly survivability though, until I got to this point where I wanted to go into getting health back, recouped as life from taking damage over here. So just test it out. Just make sure that, you're not going too crazy with it, but at the same time, early game, it's not too bad to, mess with it there. Later on, it's going to be more expensive. So as long as you have the gold, you'll be fine, but try to do your best to figure out what you want to do. I know some people are just they're winging it. They're just going to do whatever. And then that can work out sometimes not. Because then, if you don't have the money respect, then you're kind of stuck and just then you got to spend time to go farm for gold and XP and whatnot. So yeah. The other cool thing he can do for you for free at no cost is identify items for you, as you see right above the refund passives. This will save you a ton of time, as well as farming to an extent, or even, spending gold to buy the item you need to identify items with. Just go to him when you need to. I know it's not always maybe the best thing to do if you're in the middle of a map clearing, or even a boss, or about to fight a boss, or just going through mobs, things like that. But after maybe you're just going through the map, you kill some mobs and maybe you got full on some items, just quickly portal back to town basically, and talk to them and identify. That way it saves you, honestly, a little bit of time and money, in my opinion. Next up is the stagger mechanic, basically the stun mechanic of the game. So something else you may have noticed with bosses and rare enemies, which are many bosses, is they all have a stun bar, which is yellow. And once you build this up, you can stun them for a short time, usually like about 5 seconds or a little bit longer or a little bit less, depending on the boss or rare enemy. Staggering is a popular strategy too in this game, especially for certain bosses and enemies, as it renders them useless so you can get extra damage in. Keep in mind, different skills have different stun buildup. You can also use support gems to help do more stun buildup, etc. I love stunning or staggering bosses in PoE 2 because often it helps stop them from doing one of their big moves, and overall just feels very satisfying when getting in free or extra damage on bosses. And then lastly, I want to cover Ascendancy classes and how you unlock them, as there are 2 per class in the early access currently, with a 3rd for each coming sometime in the future. Now in Act 2, you'll have the opportunity to get a quest that will end up unlocking the first Ascendancy trial, and the minimum level to be so you can complete it is level 22. But don't think you have to complete the trial right away, as it is very difficult and feels like a roguelike experience due to a variety of buffs and debuffs you can get every run. I will go into more details on this in another video, but long story short, once you complete the Ascendancy trial, you choose between the 2 Ascendancy classes for your class, and this is a permanent decision, so you cannot respec or change your mind later and switch to our class on your character. So be careful what you choose, as this helps define the build you are going for. Think of Ascendancy classes as like these subclasses as well too. These are unique for your class, and you cannot pick any outside of your class as well. Going back to what I said about don't feel you have to do this trial right away, because if you want to level up more, get better gear or whatever before attempting it, go right ahead and come back to it later, unless you want to be like me and do it anyway and keep trying until you get lucky and complete it. Now, to be fair though, I did keep banging my head against the wall to keep trying it, but it did take me until level 25 to finally beat it, even though I started at level 22. But because I kept trying so much, I ended up leveling up while doing it. And so I did beat it, and I got super freaking lucky. I have a separate video on my channel that goes into like my full run, successful run that is, of the trial, and essentially how I got super lucky at the end right before fighting the boss because of a particular boon I got. So if you want to see that video in its entirety, or just check out the last bit of that, link in the description below, guys, so check that out. So that's it for my beginner tips when it comes to Path of Exile 2. I hope you learned something. I hope this was helpful to you. And my final thoughts about this game, man, I'm really enjoying it despite the issues from a technical side. I know it's early access, so it's definitely buggy, got glitches, things like that. Definitely still crashes every now and then, but the devs are working hard to fix these issues and make it more fun. I hope they also fix the enemies like coring you often, like whether you get stuck on a rock or an object in the environment. I feel this is somewhat of an annoyance and needs to be fixed, where you can just like either roll through enemies, or even if you're playing with friends. I notice sometimes even with a friend, our bodies will essentially get body blocked, and we don't mean to body block each other. It's just we're trying to survive and kick butt and everything like that. So this is a issue, and I hope they fix it. I don't know if it's gonna be a permanent thing, but yeah, I think they need to allow us to like roll through each other as far as our party members or through enemies sometimes, or a certain degree or something. Have something better balanced there, basically, with that. But overall, it's a fun game. I'm really digging it. I'm loving learning the systems, guys, and I'll definitely have more in-depth videos coming at you when it comes to guides for Path of Exile 2, as well as build videos here in the near future that I'm working on. So in the meantime, stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy the PoE content I've been streaming as well as making for you up to this point. Don't forget to hit that like if you did enjoy this video. Subscribe for new. Comment below your thoughts on this as well too. Love to hear from you. And don't forget to check out the other links in the description too if you want to go above and beyond with your support. My name is Mike. Thanks for watching.